Hello, welcome, bienvenido. That's all. I was gonna like start listing out the languages, and then I realized I don't know how to say welcome in any other languages other than Spanish and English. Um, so Nate, do you know?
Yeah, I guess yokoso.
Okay, great. Monique, can you give us French? How do you say welcome?
Bienvenue.
There we go. Um, Stephanie, can you give us Canadian?
I don't know. Guys, welcome.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, come on in, eh? I don't know. Just sorry, Stephanie.
No, it's okay.
Would have given you French, but I already got that to Monique. So
Ah,
I was like, yeah, yeah.
okay.
No, that's great. So, well, welcome. Come on in. Look at that. Hold on a second. Let me turn off. I'm going to turn off my family group chat dealing with the mouse crisis that we just ran into. But hey, welcome. And that's it should be hopefully your win is you don't have a mouse in your pantry. So that's a first for us learning about that one. But yeah, hey, so welcome. So glad you're here, Mike. I mean, I'm glad all of you are here, but I'm especially glad, Mike, that you're here since you are our guest of honor for today. So,
Doing
how you doing, Mike?
probably an 8, 7 or 8,
Okay, out of
10.
good. Great. So, hey, we're gonna get started today. What the first thing we'll do is, as everyone comes in, we'll share our win of the week. Just to start with celebration and progress, and then we'll get into our Soul Out Coach spotlight for today. So, Mike, you'll be our guest of honor today for a Soul Out Coach spotlight. I'm looking forward to it. Excited for it. So I will go first and share my win of the week, and then I would love it if a couple of you would volunteer, raise your hands, volunteer to share your win of the week on the mic. Amazing. That'd be great. If not, share your win in the chat, but you have to share a win, one or the other. There's always a win. So Tim, what's your win of the week?
Oh, I thought you'd start.
Oh, well, I can start.
Or
You want
was
to
it
miss?
win
You want a
that I'm
second?
going to start?
All right, I'll go, and then you go, Tim. So my win is that it's just excitement right now for a new book that I am now going to write with you, all of you. So I basically like we've been working on some stuff behind the scenes about like some improvements we want to make, just like some enhancements we want to make, really upgrades to so like coming back to like some version of like we need like it seems like everyone really wants like a step-by-step guide. Like it'd be nice if there was like different sections and then you could like go deeper in that section and like read like what to do when you're in this phase of building your business. And then, like we started talking about it and building this out. I was like, oh, we're describing a book. We're describing a book that does not exist, which is the book Sold Out Coach. So which by the way, already has um, a cover just because I find it helpful to start projects by like envisioning it. So check that out. So this is the mock-up of the book, Sold Out Coach. We've also let's see, experimented with a couple different colors, but it's actually what this shows me is it's going to look really good next to Surf to Sell in black. This is probably going to be on red. The color doesn't matter, folks, for this purpose. But this is going to be probably a project that'll take most of the year. But my plan is that basically the win is that I'm excited about how we're going to kind of create the initial content in this book and use this as the guide for each of you as you're building your businesses so that we can start filling in the gaps when something's not clear and you're like, well, what do I do here? It's like, great, that's a whole new section. So even though this won't be a book on shelves for probably 6 months to a year, it'll be a living document that you get to be part of actually using this and filling your stories of how you use these frameworks to do what you do. So I'm excited about that. So that's my win slash teaser for you. How about that? So Tim, now you're up next. What's your word of the week?
Yeah, sounds like I'm a by author now, so that's great.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Yeah.
apart from that, I now that I had my 10x standing and some of the things removed, I could finally start doing the stuff. And
Yeah, doing the
I
stuff.
had my first free workshop on Monday. I got like 20 like completely new leads. I think like 10K. Four
Amazing.
booked a surf call and one already well basically bought the program. I didn't have a I didn't have anything to buy set up yet.
That's
I
amazing.
did that today.
Right.
So let's see. I'm gonna have a call with him tomorrow. But I think that's a pretty nice one.
That often happens. The first person says yes, and you're like surprised. It's like, oh, I wasn't ready for you to
Yeah,
say yes,
what I
actually.
was, but I
Yeah.
was like, well,
So
sleep about it. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and then.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's a pretty big win, and it went like,
that's a
pretty
huge win.
pretty fast. Like it was like I think like 1 or 2 weeks from
Yeah,
nothing to 20 leads and now one customer.
that's amazing. Well done, Tim. That's a huge win. I love that. Stephanie, what about you? What's your win of the week?
Sure. So I kicked off the second round of Music Theory 101 for complete beginners with my Brazilian musician buddy. And the first
Okay.
time we had 11 paying customers, and this time we've more than 30. So yeah, so it's great. So it's just I feel like it's just sort of, the getting my feet wet.
Yeah, I love that.
It's but something that's been really helpful about it is I'm not sure if it's like I know we were talking about Stripe as like a helpful tool to connect with your bank account to
Mhm.
deposits. I'm not sure what's going on, but I've been having a lot of trouble with Stripe. Like just the payments aren't coming
Hmm.
through and it's a bit of a mess. So I'm actually really thankful that I'm doing a lower price product
Oh, to work out the
first
kinks.
because
Yeah,
to work out the
yeah,
kinks. Yeah. So I feel like we're close to a solution, but I'm really thankful that my first paying customers are not my $2,000,
yeah,
first cohort customers because that could be much
yeah,
bigger of a mess than it is.
yeah, yeah.
So 30 friends joining me for this adventure. So it's
That's
been
amazing.
great.
Well done, Stephanie. Thank you. Monique, what about you? What's your win of the week?
Just simple. I'm just learning how to get things done and just focusing in on doing things in the right order and weeding through what's not necessary ever or what's not right for me right now. So I'm just getting organized and
Yeah,
learning how to be a better business owner.
I love that. How close are you? Your cohort starts in 10 days or something like that, right?
So it starts on the 30th. I'm doing
Yeah,
a bonus training
yeah.
um next Thursday. So actually it's going to cut into the time of this class, unfortunately,
That's
because I
okay.
had to accommodate somebody in Australia.
Oh, yeah, that's always tough.
So
Yeah,
I think I'm going to miss like a half hour. Sorry.
that's okay. Don't worry about
Um,
it.
but
Yeah,
I'll be here.
good, good. Yes, yeah, Australia, poor Australia. They're off there. It's such a bigger, I mean, for someone in Australia, it's usually like tomorrow.
Well, yeah,
Um,
he's making it, he's being nice because it's going to be 6 in the morning for him.
yeah,
But he happens to be a
right.
morning person. And I do have
Yeah,
one more serve call, and I'm praying to the gods that this person is paying because technically I have 5 people, but one is a scholarship. But
yeah,
I'm feeling like this last person who found me on Instagram is
amazing.
is gonna be it.
That's great. I love that. Jake, what about you? What's your one of the week?
I'm going to pick a different one than I gave this morning because this is relevant for Mike. But I took a first
Yeah.
pass at my 10x, inspired by Mike's 10x promise. So create an unforgettable group program without having done it before. That's what I'm working with right
Okay.
now.
All right. Yes,
There
that's
you go.
huge progress. I love that. Thank you. Yeah, Jake's doing double duty because he was in boot camp this morning. So I hope you don't get tired of us, Jake. I don't think you will. Wow. I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Nate, what about you? What's your one of the week?
So it feels like all my wins recently are just updates on the co-star stuff.
Yeah.
But my sister had gotten it sent to HR to get approval from them, and HR said that they have to go through procurement, even though I'm doing this initial session for free. Um, and so my sister was thinking that might be the end of it, but her boss said like she would try and push it through procurement. So it's looking really promising to get this in maybe in the next few weeks. So I've already started working on the content for that little
Forward
mini workshop.
momentum. Love it. Drew, thank you for sharing your one in the chat. Anybody else who didn't share live? I guess most of you have actually. He said, along getting support from getting to support many of you directly, launch his own fundraising campaign for show that you're proud of producing or humanitarian work. Drew, would you also share the other win from today?
I don't remember what that was.
Okay, no, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. But everybody's gonna need to unmute and join me in wishing Drew a happy birthday. But I won't make you sing on Zoom. I don't know what happens if we do that. But let's just go ahead and unmute if you would, and I'll say three, two, one, and then we'll say happy birthday, Drew. So 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday,
Happy
Drew!
birthday, Drew!
There we go.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Drew. All right. So Mike, what about you? What's your win of the week?
Oh man, me? I have to go.
Yeah.
I had a
You have to
huge
go a
win.
lot today. Yeah.
I'll try to make this reasonably concise. I am working with a speaker whose book is coming out in March, and we'll probably talk about that in my session today. But um, her book is going to be some sort of bestseller. I don't all the strategy and what gets named, but it'll be some sort of bestseller. She had the keynote that accompanies it would naturally be 45 minutes, but she had 20 for basically a speaking agency. Now, like 45 to 20 is a task, but it's totally doable. I've done that a million times. There are a couple of things about her book that makes it difficult, like the way that it's sequenced to get it to 20. And it's kind of like, well, do we want to lots of little drips and or just like one thing, but they're nine things? Like, what do we do? And I will take credit for giving her pep talks and walking her through like how to tell this story and how to tell this story and how to keep your nerve and what to say and da da da. But then she also just delivered it so well, and she won over an entire agency. They have speakers like Katie Ledecky and Paul Ryan and Fauci, and like not every speaker is like known by everybody in the country, but like it is like a pretty big deal. And it was, well, here's what I'll say. She and I both knew that she could do better, but to them it felt like a home run. So that's a home run.
That's I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So, Mike, that's actually a great segue into us talking about a bit about your work and what you do. So, thank you for agreeing to be our guest in the spotlight for today. Um, so here's what here's how this is going to go for me and then Mike. Just kind of like actually like using the spotlight feature in Zoom, and then everybody we're gonna do is the way it's going to start. Just as a reminder, I think most of you have been to one of our spotlight sessions before. But I'm going to interview and talk through with Mike to kind of like retrace his sold out coaching business, like how he built it to the point where it is today. And you are going to have plenty of time to learn from that and ask questions. So initially, I'll kind of run the conversation, but then we'll open it up to questions to everybody. You're welcome to also use the chat to ask questions at any point in time. Um, so just want to keep that in mind. But yeah, let's get into that right away. So look at that. Spotlight number one, and then spotlight number two. So, Mike, let's start by just saying, who the heck are you? Just for anybody who watched this who doesn't know exactly. Who the heck are you, Mike?
I'm a speaking coach. I like to tell people, well, no, I don't like to tell people. I help people deliver the best speech of their life. And
Yeah.
the 10x promise we can get into, but just when I meet people, that's what I tell them. I
Yeah.
think speech coach is okay, but there's a little bit of like, oh, so you help with speech pathology. It's like, no. And as John has told you, it's
Yeah.
good to have some level of outcome, right? So
Yeah.
I've worked with people like James Clear and Donald Miller and Amy Porterfield, and I've gone to companies like Google and Apple and Nike and all these big deal companies, and it feels a little weird to me because I don't. It doesn't feel like a big deal to me, but that's also like that's when you're good at something, right? Is you're like, wait,
Yeah.
but that's it. Like I got a
Yeah.
call an hour ago from someone who like I worked with her in her talk, and frankly, I didn't even know if it was that good. Like it felt like a B to me. And she texted me back. She's like, I got tears, I got laughter, I got people who want to read this to their daughters. Oh, guess we're good at
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, Mike is incredibly good at what he does. Mike, I don't know anybody that really compares to you in terms of like the level of you, like as you as a speaking coach, as someone who's like been your friend and then also your client, and also seen many of the talks of some of the people that you've coached, and actually seen their talks in the audience, and being willing to share your story today because speaking is one of those things that like there's all kinds of metaphors about how much people hate speaking on stage, but it's such a critical communication skill for teachers, for authors, for creators. And yeah, I want to get into a little bit about how that relates to your group coaching program. So tell us a bit about your group coaching program as it stands today, and then we'll go back in time.
Okay, cool. And I will say it was, John, it was really fun for me to go through this because it's a little bit of like a research project and I'm looking at
Yeah.
emails I sent back in like 2021. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Like that's also what growth
Yeah.
looks like. I mean,
Yeah.
if I've
Yeah.
read one of the emails, I was like, this is good, I should use it again. It's kind of like, oh, well. Um,
That's
yeah.
good. I'm
So
glad.
I I run a group cohort called Speech Club that is, by the way, John, is going to have
Okay,
a
cool.
2.0 version. And I'm trying to recruit people for that. So
We'll
that's
talk
an
about that for
aside, but
sure.
that's really cool. So yeah, I run that once a year, and now this year it's going to be at least 3 and maybe 4, depending on what I decide to do about this summer.
Yeah.
Each time should be in the neighborhood. So it's up to 10 people. Each time should be, and it's 5,000 per, so it should be in the neighborhood
Yeah.
of 50,000 every time.
Hmm.
It is the thing that gives me the most, like on a personal level, it's the thing that gives me the most energy. My wife has told me like so many times where, like I finish and I'll go inside and she's like, you're just different when you
Yeah.
finish that. And it's funny because I coach people one-on-one and I do cohort. And one-on-one sometimes just like takes me to the brink of despair, so much life and energy. And I know that's something about me or if that's consistent or what, but I do think there's something to the idea that like when you're working with smart people, they don't always need you to like do everything for them. You just have
Yeah.
knowledge that would take them a long time to get themselves and they need direction, but you're working together on the project more than doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. And that's been my experience too. I mean, one-on-one coaching, I feel like is either amazing or awful, and there's not a lot of in between sometimes in terms of like sometimes it's talking about the same exact client. Yeah, group coaching is excellent. I'm a fan, obviously. So yeah, so you run this program. So just be clear, it is not obvious. You started selling this program long before you met me, or at least before you joined my program, right? So like so this is where some people, this is probably, I would say maybe 10% of people that join Sold Out Coach Club already have a program. And then we focus on like, let's refine it and let's relaunch it. But in this case, you were in that camp, right? So not creating one from scratch.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to now maybe talk about maybe like, I guess now would be a good place to go back in time. So I'm wondering, Mike, if you could take us in a time capsule back to where you first launched it. Do you remember why you wanted to launch the group coaching program the first time?
Yes, there was a hairdresser in England that asked me about it.
That asked you
Like,
what? Like,
like filled
do you
out,
have a
a
group
guy
program?
fills out a form on my website. So just as a rewind, like quick timeout for people. Um, I embrace the term entrepreneur a lot more now, but I've always thought of myself as a reluctant entrepreneur. I love the teaching part, the business part I tolerate. And I'm
Yeah.
tolerate is probably the wrong word now, but like certainly when I started, that was the case.
Yeah.
And, so certain business decisions that I made like happened just because someone emailed me about it. So this guy in England, Anthony, I forget what his last name, emails me to ask if I ever do group. I had like heard of that before, but I never did it before. Um, and then around that same time, there was a guy who asked me if I could do, he didn't use these words, but he's basically a group coach for his company. Now, I have a teaching background. Back in the day, I wanted to be a college professor. I was an adjunct. And I realized like that's basically what it was. It was just over Zoom with people who are more driven than college students. And
Hmm.
so the first one I launched, um, I somewhat knew what I was doing. Sorry, rewind. No. The first one I launched was June of 2021. It was
Okay.
during,
So almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
yeah, it was towards the end of COVID, or it was like
Right.
when there was some optimism around COVID, let's say.
Yeah.
And I wrote a really, really good email. Um, and it basically said, you should join Speech Club. I mean, it was better than that, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I was able to fill a group with like one really good email. And then for 2 or 3 years until I met John, I always loved doing the group coach, but it was kind of in that category of like, I'll set it up when I have time rather than at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year, I'm going to run this 3 times, you know? So what I would do is once in a while, there would be people who asked me about it. This is like one of those things I've looked back with such regret, but it's part of the learning journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, I'm going to do that again. I'll let you know when it is. I mean, that's basically what the vibe was. So
Hmm.
talk to somebody in March, and then in June, having not kept in touch with them for 3 months, I would drop them an email saying, "Hey, I'm ready to do the group cohort. Like I'm going to do Speech Club again." And you can imagine, like that kills a lot of deals when there's just no in between outside of being on the email list.
Yeah.
So I ran it once a year, and it was very hodgepodge. Like even though I love doing it so much, it was very like I'll do it here and there, like when it seems like there's time. And then I met John, and you know, I don't make it sound like he was like a angel descending from heaven or something, but like John really did change the way that I thought about it. You showed me the math behind running a group program and being able to run it more than once. You gave me some ideas on pricing that uh, you know, were a little scary, but turned out to be true. And there's something else that I don't know if you want to talk this now or not, but like I was on stages, like so I'm a speaking
Yeah.
coach. What I'm usually doing is helping other people get on stages and making them perfect
Yeah.
that. But once or twice a year, I get on a stage. Uh, and
Yeah,
I was,
I teased your craft and commerce story before. So let's talk about
okay.
that for sure.
But
Yeah.
but John, here's the thing that like probably you might not know about is the year before the success story, there was a story there was that, like I should have had a success story, but I
Hmm.
just wasn't ready. It wasn't thinking.
Right.
Oh, um. Anyway, when I met John, he helped me figure out like how to sell from stage without
Yeah.
being that guy and like how to position things
Well,
so
let me
that
clarify that because
I could do
actually,
well.
that's actually, I had forgotten about that part of your story. You spoke at the same conference 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah, so I did a workshop one year and then workshop and main stage the following year.
Right. So the workshop the first year, I remember you, I think I forgot about this until part of the story, but you had told me, you were like, I did this workshop and like I had a line of people asking questions at the end, and then that was kind of it, right? Like there wasn't like a call to action, there wasn't like a next step, like it was just like you you got a free ticket and probably got paid a few $100 to teach a workshop and like put a massive amount of effort into it. And then that was the end of the story, right? For the
That's the
first
end of the
time.
story. I had people lined up to talk to me and
Yeah.
I had nothing for them to do. I didn't even have a sign-up sheet
Yeah.
with like write your email address or something like that.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean so then year two, going back to the same conference, I remember now this was actually good timing because you had just gone through my accelerator program at the time before Select Coach Club existed. And we started talking through your offer going into that. And so I have a vivid memory. I don't know if you remember much of this, Mike, of like this is like the same day you're supposed to talk, maybe like 30 minutes before you're supposed to talk,
It was
where
like
we're
an
making
hour. Yeah, it was
edits.
lunch and I was
It was like
talking
an
to you too.
hour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was lunch, and so we're like literally making like I'm like, cool, can I see your slide deck? And we're literally making edits like there on the floor of the conference, like right before you go on stage. Um, and yeah, so so tell us about the difference about the second time you went on. Now that you had a more refined
Yeah.
offer.
So let me give like a one, two, three for this. So
Yeah,
year one, I do this workshop. Now I'd never been to the conference before, so I do like I can give myself some grace for it, right? But like I've never been to the conference before. I'm presenting in this room. It goes as well as any workshop I've ever delivered. Like right down to a
yeah,
couple of things where it's like you couldn't plan this any better than how it happened, right? Like I'm just thinking of
yeah,
yeah. And all these people want to talk to me afterwards. I have nothing for them to do. Um, I did get a little bit of business from it because someone was willing to do the hard work of like Googling my name, finding my website, filling out a form, but like you shouldn't make it that hard for people. So that's like year one, and I come home and I'm like, it went awesome. I'm an idiot, right? Like that's the feeling that I have. So then we go to year two. In year two, I'm doing a workshop and then I'm on main stage. So it's a 3 day conference or 2 day conference. Anyway, point being, I'm doing a workshop one day and then I'm main stage the following day.
right. So just to make sure that's clear for everybody, so the main stage talk, we're talking about everybody at the conference. This is Craft and Commerce, which is Kids Conference, formerly
Yeah.
ConvertKit. So about 350 people in the room between like attendees and sponsors and speakers, but all highly qualified, like high caliber 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs. And then in a workshop, you're looking like at 30 to 50 people, right? Something around there.
Yeah, because they're like 4 or 5 workshops at a time,
Yeah,
so it's people
yeah,
that self-select. Now, those are still really good people because they've chosen to go to yours, right? But it's just
yes,
number-wise less. So, um, I like the voice in the back of my head is like, don't blow this opportunity 2 years in a row. So
mm,
I put together this whole thing for the workshop, and you know, it's not a conference where you overtly sell, but you're allowed to like tell people how to keep in touch with you and stuff
yeah,
like that. So I do that workshop. John's in it, and part of my, I think, growth in general as a business person is feeling Like what I think one of the things I've learned is that people are, as long as you're good, people are okay being sold to.
Hmm.
Or or and again, I don't mean like manipulative
No, but
tricking,
it's a lot like going to
but
a restaurant. Like if you go to a nice restaurant, they're like, our steak is
yeah,
fantastic, and you're like, well then yeah, tell me about it, right? Like it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
if they have a
yeah,
really good product, I want you to tell me about it.
yeah. And so during the workshop, which was the first one I did, I get to a call to action, and call to action is sign up for your email list or talk to you afterwards or whatever you want that thing to be. Buy your book, whatever you want that thing to be. And I did it so fast. And it didn't feel that fast to me. But John, who was in the audience, came and talked to me afterwards. He's like, dude, you even have a thing in the workshop about pausing. And then this is like the big thing for you. And you had the slide up there for 2 seconds. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a good point. So thankfully, the order of things is that it was speaking day two instead of day one. Helped quite a bit.
Yeah,
So
on
day
main stage,
two,
yeah.
main stage, I just had it in the back of my brain. I'm like, this QR code with my contact info is going to be up there for a good long time. And
Yeah.
it's not going to be this like, well, you can download this thing if you want. But
Yeah.
it's speaking about the value of that. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really proud of that I said out
Yeah.
loud, almost verbatim, this download is worth thousands of dollars. This is the stuff that when I work with speakers, we put hours and hours into perfecting. This is free for you. Everybody at this conference who's ever going to take a stage should be downloading this right now. And I just sat there and waited. And I don't know how many people are at that conference, but there were like, I want to say it's like 250 probably.
I think it was 300.
Yeah,
At least
somewhere around there.
this year was 350. I don't know. That year was probably about 300. Yeah.
Yeah, there were 73 people who did that download.
That's awesome.
Pretty good. Those are like 73 people, like really good ones. And then
Yeah.
that plus one email that was only to those people filled up my group cohort.
Yeah. Do you have a recording of that talk, by the way? I couldn't find it. I looked for it.
Yeah, it's unlisted, but I can send it
Okay,
to you.
okay, yeah, do that. We love to see that. So the talk,
Yeah.
do you remember how long your talk was? I know when I spoke at Crafting Conference it was about 20 minutes. Was yours about that?
Yeah, it was a little more than 20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 20, 30. Yeah, so I want to make this clear, like one of the things that so let's double click on this story for a minute. So you got to speak at a conference. You knew your target client was in the audience. I had forgotten about the workshop, so I'm glad you remembered that actually because I had forgot about that. But the keynote thing, I remember you did that really well. Partly because of the workshop didn't go as well. In terms of you were on stage, you had a captive audience paying attention to you, and there are a couple of things you did really, really well that I want to highlight. One of them is that your bio was basically just your 10x
Yeah.
promise because like there's some other credibility markers in there, like I've worked with these people, there's some logos, that kind of stuff. But basically, you were like, "Hi, I'm Mike. I can help you create an unforgettable signature talk that is an instant trust with any audience." And that was really powerful and strong. I think that sometimes that can be the best bio, is just like how I can serve
Yeah.
you. And because you knew you wanted to get clients out of that room, that was the right bio to share. It's like, this is what I do. And I was in the audience. I looked around and saw, because I knew it was going to happen. I saw kind of the perking up, the like sitting up, the like the notes, just the people like listed, like, what does that mean? I want that. And then you had two different ways that people could contact you on stage, right? One was they
Forgot
could
about
use
this. Yeah, yeah.
scan the QR code. So one was they could use a scan QR code to download your freebie, so you could follow up with them, and you knew they were from that conference. And the second one was we added at the last minute the text messaging. Do you want to mention that?
Yes. This is something I wish I had done. Well, no, I did well with it. There's something I
You
wish,
did great, Mike. This is a win. Yeah,
yeah, from
yeah,
a speaking standpoint, there's like one thing that I realized would have made it like 11 out of 10. But yeah, so
sure.
okay, one of the things that I had in the speech is that, so the speech was about storytelling. One of the things I talk about as an advanced tip is that when you have characters in a story, like John Meese is in my story, it's helpful for the audience if you can describe that character quickly. But what most of us do is we just use like an adjective, right? Like
Do you want
John
to use mine as
Clark.
example? Do you remember how you described me?
I said something like, gosh, what was it? It was something like John. Okay, so like I was thinking John is being very efficient. Uh, and I said something like, uh, John probably popped out of the womb and instantly said, "Hold on, let me do that again. I can go faster," or like something like
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah. That one I did not approve, but yes, this is what you said. Um, yeah, yeah. Uh,
And we might
which
have,
will turn out, yeah, which
yeah,
turned out to be really funny because later Nathan Barry, the CEO of ConvertKit, on stage saw me running across the background during the conference to like bring someone something, and he's like, "Look, there goes John Meese." And Haley was like, "Oh yeah, he's the one that's like so fast, right? That he had to do we had to get born twice." So yeah, that was ended up living down as like a moment in the whole conference experience. But coming back to focus on this for you, the key part was like we realized you could make this engaging, right? Where you could actually literally just tell everyone like, "Hey, let's just Nathan Barry, who's the CEO of Kit, and he's also the founder of the conference." Most people in the audience have some idea who he is. So he was a great model to be like, let's describe Nathan in a sentence. And so
yeah,
you asked everybody to text you your real cell phone number on stage.
yeah.
Okay.
It was, and I was like, this is my real cell phone number. Now, y'all, I wasn't 100% sure this would work.
Yeah.
So I stacked the deck a little bit with me and John brainstormed at lunch, and John came up with one that was the very best thing. It won't be funny in this context, but there it
Yeah.
was the very best thing. Um, and I'm on stage. I'm like, okay, so picture this. You're on stage and you're waiting for people to text you, but you're asking them to like put some thought into it. It's not just texting like the name like Jake or something like that. You're like asking them to like do some work. And so I'm there and it's just feeling like forever. And then the replies start coming in and they're furious.
So
Like
many.
so many. And what I wish I had done is thought to turn the volume on my phone because that would have completed it. Because then it's just like
Oh
ding,
yeah,
ding,
yeah.
ding, ding, ding. But then I'm trying to read it. I doubt any of you have had this experience before. They're all coming in at the same time, and I'm like seeing them, and they're good, and I'm going to click, and then it's no longer what I was thought I was clicking on. So I'm trying to read them all. But all of that
Because
to
you had
say,
100 people text you at the same exact time.
I had people text me at the same time. The next day on my flight, I just decided to text people back, and it was super interesting. Um, There is one client who came from those text messages directly. Like, and she even told me, she's like, part of the reason I'm signing up is because I thought that was a really good move.
Yeah.
Uh, so I had one
Wait,
client who signed up for that,
I'm curious,
and
do you remember how you felt? There was one loud critic in the audience when you did that. Do you remember this?
oh yeah, that's right.
Because that was like
Yeah,
I was worried for you when that happened. So you mentioned everybody like go ahead and text me to answer this question right now, and right now we'll pick like a winner of like who has the best description. And one woman in the audience has the nerve to stand up, and do you remember what she said?
she said something like, now he's gonna have all our phone numbers.
Yeah, this is so you can have our phone numbers, so you can pitch
Yeah,
us.
yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, and I
So
was
how'd
like,
you handle like she said that in like in a quiet room of
yeah.
everybody. How'd you handle that?
I just said, are you gonna give me your name too? Or I said something like that. Like, I don't have your name.
Yeah. I think you kind of like laughed it off. You handled it well in the moment, but I was watching you to be like, oh man, like that could go sideways really quickly. And you just like chuckled and
Yeah.
shrugged, like you didn't bother engage with her. And it passed. Hopefully she didn't text. Hopefully she
I
didn't
think
text
she
you
might have. There was one person
um,
who just wrote back, like, so I'm texting everybody back on the, and to be clear, I'm texting them back on the flight and I'm just like giving them
yeah,
feedback on what they wrote me. So
yeah,
it wasn't like,
yeah, yeah,
hey, would you like to join my group program? But then if it turned into like a longer conversation, then I was just like, would you ever think about speaking? But there was one person who wrote back and I was like, oh, this is good. Maybe consider this. And I assume it's the same person, goes,
yeah.
unsubscribe.
In your actual like iPhone conversation, unsubscribe. Okay, all right, got it. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so so what I want to highlight from that moment, because actually you and I actually did a separate video where we talked about that one in more detail. So I want to make sure we talk about the rest of your story. But just to summarize it, the results of that, um, well, here I'll tell you what I remember, and you correct those if that's wrong. What I remember as results of that is you followed up. Then you said, "Hey, I'm going to do a casual Q&A the next week about," and you said about your 10x promise, like, "Hey, I'm going to do this casual Q&A about what it takes to create an unforgettable signature talk that can earn you instant trust in any audience. Would you like me to include you in the calendar invite?" And a lot of people, probably, I want to say like 30 or 40 people said yes. Does that sound roughly right? I know this was a while ago.
I
It's a
think it was more, I'm gonna say it was like 20, yeah, it might have been like 20-ish.
Okay, sure. I mean, that's still like so a solid group. Around 20 said yes. You should up. You share a bit about your program, not a ton,
Yep.
really just like high level overview. Ask for questions, and then invited people to pay a deposit and join.
Yeah.
So what did that yield for you? What did that turn into?
So two things. Number one, I waited too long to send that follow up. I think it was more like 3 weeks, and it should have just been.
Yeah.
That's one of those like anyway. Um, yeah, that should have been faster. But the advice that John had given me that was just gold was have someone from a previous group be there. Like, so I invited someone who had been a good student. She wasn't like the best I ever had, but she was a good student. It was someone I knew would do well. She made the whole thing. I mean, I may as well have not spoken once Winona was there. And people asked her real questions too. And I gave them permission for that. I was like, okay, listen, I know sometimes it feels weird, but like you're trying to make a decision if this is good or not for you. So ask her real questions. And distinctly remember someone asked like, how much work was it? And Winona was like, yeah, I put a lot of work into this. And she's like, on Saturdays, I would just set aside 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. But it was just awesome because it was real answers and that just made it so much
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Love that. So then sales wise, what did that lead to? Do you remember?
Like money wise,
Well, I mean, like number of clients and what that led to for your cohort.
yeah. So that filled up the group. There might have been one person who wasn't from that group.
Yeah.
But that was I think at the time I was charging 3,000 per. So I always capped it at eight. Eight is somewhat arbitrary, but it just felt like a
Yeah.
good number. Eight with me is, tic-tac-toe. So that's in the neighborhood of 24,000.
Yeah.
I say in the neighborhood, like I wind up discounting and stuff a little bit
Yeah.
here and
So you
there,
got
but
8 paying clients out of that campaign without, and I remember one of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that you actually have an email list, you have an audience, but you didn't even do like a public promo. Like you just focused on it. So I thought that was a really great. I mean, I'm not recommending y'all don't tell your email lists about your cohort. I'm just saying like that's a really good example of how like one of the best ways you can get high quality clients is get a stage, which could be a podcast or a summit or it could be an in-person conference, but like get a stage that already has your target client in the audience, right? And then all of a sudden, like all these things become a lot simpler. Of like the hand raiser is literally like talking to a crowd and be like, "Hey, is this you? Raise your hand by downloading the thing or texting me." And then you can do a Q&A. We call it the showcase strategy, where you do a Q&A where it's actually a Q&A with one or two of your best clients who are on the call. And that's a phenomenal strategy for closing sales. Yeah. So Jake asked, so all 8 people in your cohort were from CNC. I want to say that it was like 7 were from CNC and you had one other client
yeah.
who was like not from Craft and Commerce, who just was like somebody who was like waiting for your next cohort or
Yeah,
something like that.
I
Does that
think I
sound right?
had all 8 and then one dropped out and then
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
So then Glenn
That sounds
replaced.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so forgive us. This shit we're talking about I don't know, a year and a half ago maybe.
Yeah.
So we're both going like I think this is what happened.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit of how it works is we all went on to the next thing. So we're
And,
talking about it now.
and let
Um
me add something here.
yeah.
Here's this is a specific spot where advice that John gave me helped me make more money, which is he told me he's like your price point is 3,000. Like I told him his price point is 3,000. He's like 3 is the same as 5, which that's hard because to me 3 is not the same as 5, but I mean he was right about that. So it's 5,000 now.
Yeah.
So for I don't
Yeah.
know 2 or 3 cohorts, I was just I guess giving money away is the wrong way of saying that, but I was just
You were
leaving
leaving
money
money
on
on
the
the
table.
table. Yeah, the same people who would have paid you 3,000 would have paid you 5. So there's these like price points, at least in the West. I mean, it's obviously is culturally relevant, but like in the West, especially in America, there are these price points which we kind of psychologically latch onto. And so they start at a small level. Like if you go to a store and you see something, it's probably either 2, 5, or $10, or it's 20, 25, or $50. In other words, if you see something that's $7.99, you treat it like a $10 purchase. You don't treat it like a $7.99 purchase. You treat it like a $10 purchase, which means that if you're charging $7.99 for a product that someone would have bought for $10, you're giving away or leaving $2 and a cent on the table. Now, with smaller products, that doesn't matter that as much, but with bigger price products, it does actually matter a lot because now all of a sudden you go, the minute your program is more than $2,000, the next price anchor is 5,000. Which means if you're charging 3,500 for your program, the same customers who said yes to 3,500 almost always would have said yes to 5,000, which means you're just leaving $1,500 on the table. So that's why, I mean, we do that intentionally of like kind of, if you follow the pricing strategy that I advise, you start with 2,000 and then you actually jump to 4, which is not quite 5. So just to be clear, like that's I recognize as part of the strategy. But part of that is also like, hey, this is the last time you can get this for $4,000 before it's 5,000 that becomes the standard price. The jump from $5,000 is typically 5,000 to 10,000. And then after 10,000, it gets a little crazy. Because usually at that point, you're not talking about the total price, you're talking about the payment plan. You're saying it's 6 payments of 2,000 or it's 3 payments of 5,000, right? So typically you change how you talk about it at that point because the jump is actually 10,000 to 25,000. It's 10,000 to 20,000 and then to 25 and then to 30 and then to 50. And so those are huge price jumps. We don't spend a lot of time there, but I have clients who've sold $30,000 programs. It can't be done. It's just a totally different strategy in terms of how you talk about it. So that's a little bit of an aside, but yes, pricing matters. And since you made the change to $5,000, you're still selling the same or better than you were, just
Yep.
making more money,
Yep.
which allows you to serve people at a higher level. So
Yep.
love that. Okay, so Jake said, is 10 the same as $5,000? Did I answer your question, Jake? I didn't see that until after I talked about it. Yeah. So the actual numbers after 10,000 are $10 or like $10 and then 10, 20, 25, 50, 100. So if you're charging $80, you might as well charge 100, right? And then after 100, it's 200 and then 500 and then 1,000 and then 2,000 and then 5,000. So these aren't numbers I made up. There's a lot of people in my industry who've done a lot of pricing research and like tests and found this is just how consumers behave, but also it kind of makes sense. And yes, Jake, even your cheeky questions are welcome. So thank you for that. All right, Mike. So would you do us a favor? I think you have some visual stuff where you can actually take us back. Can you share? Would you be willing to share your screen and kind of show off and just take us back through the history, the timeline of Speech Club, and how you got to where it is today?
Totally. Yeah. Give me 1
Yeah,
second.
you're good. You're good. Take a minute. Take a minute to put that up. While you do, I would just love to encourage you, those of you who are watching, even if you're watching the replay or live, please share your takeaways in the chat. This is not just for me or for Mike. It's really honestly mostly for you and your peers so that we can all learn from the story. Because the goal here is that we're going to deep dive into this to understand and learn like from different examples of how people have done the thing so that you can do the thing and learn about it. So, Mike, did you create a custom slide deck for us? Is that what I'm looking at?
I did. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you get a gold star. So thank you, Mike. Take us through
Yeah.
it.
This is me on stage. I thought this was the right one. This is me on stage, the
That's a great picture.
successful one.
Yeah.
Okay. So July 2021. Uh, this I had mentioned. This is end of. This is we're starting to like this is like vaccines just come out for COVID. Like there's starting to be some optimism in the air. I sent one email. 20 people. One well-written email. I made a case for Speech Club, 20 replies, uh, 8 in the cohort,
Wow.
which at the time I think was charging 2,500, something like that. Now, hold on. This sounds better than it is.
It sounds pretty good.
There were 20 replies, and then there were some people who like just kind of like trickled in coincidentally. So I had 20. I wish I had known about the serve call thing at the time,
Sure.
but I distinctly remember getting on my first sales call with this guy in South Africa, and I'm like in the middle of the call, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like I'm just giving them information.
You're just like,
I'm doing no sale. I'm not dangling anything in front of them. They're just rusty, and I think that thought wasn't in my head yet that people want to be sold to. Like if it's
mhm.
something that's good, people want it to be sold to them. They don't want to be manipulated, but they do want it to be.
Yeah. At the time, you were
They don't want
still selling from your heels, right? Where you're like, that's a phrase for just like that feeling of like you're kind of backing off. Even as you're selling, you're leaning back, going like, I mean, yeah, here's
Yeah.
the thing and all the details. What other questions do you have? You have more questions, right? I'm sure you do. Yeah. What other concerns do you have? Yeah.
Um,
What are you afraid of buying my program? Why would you not do it? Yeah.
yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, and I made it like difficult to buy. Like there was no Stripe link.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'll email you, and you know what I mean. Here's
Yeah.
the whole thing would be too small, but like here's the beginning of the email, and you can see like right off the bat.
I love the subject line. You lead it with scarcity for only 7 special people.
Yep.
You leaded, you led. That's a better word. It's an actual word.
Yeah. Uh, Gosh, do I wish I had done well. Gosh, do I look back at this and say, why did anybody buy that? The email's good. The whole thing was over Zoom and email. I emailed like homework, and like for me, like in my group, there are speeches to watch. I emailed them. They didn't. They did not live anywhere. It
Yeah.
was you had to check your email, but humble beginnings, right? So my if anybody's curious, my technology upgrade has gone email, Slack, which was okay for hosting, and finally I don't know, year and a half ago, I was like, what am I doing? I
Yeah.
need to treat this like it's a real thing. So
So you're on
I'm
Circle
on
Speech Club.
Circle now.
Yeah, one thing by the way, I just want to highlight, I mean, as you go through this,
Yeah.
for anybody who doesn't know, so like Mike's sharing a lot of like the kind of like ugly beginnings of like how it was kind of like a little scattered and like both the sales process and the delivery process. But just to be clear, I see behind the scenes of a lot of coaching programs because of my role and what I do. And Mike's program is definitely one of the best I've ever been through because I went through it as a client. It was incredible, and I had a an amazing an unforgettable signature talk because of it that I've delivered before at Craft and Commerce. That's led to a lot of other opportunity. But also, Mike, you're the only person I know. You're not the only person I know who's had someone go through your program twice, but you're
Yeah.
actually the only person I know who has had someone who went through the program twice and paid full
Yeah.
price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Let me make sure that's clear. Someone went through this program, they paid full price, they went through the program, and then they were like, I need to do that again. I need to pay for it again. Right? Like you were actually the only person I know because I have plenty of people. I have people who are like, I got stuck. I need to go back and like gotta start over. And usually it's like free or reduced or something like that. But you have people who've actually paid to go through it again. I think that's one of my favorite kind of hallmarks for like how good your program is. So
Yeah. And
well done.
I think, John, that's like kind of where it occurred to me that the quality of the content was there, but it wasn't treating it that way as
Yeah.
a program, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, Slack is, like $9 a month. I'll just do that. A lot of
Yeah.
like, I'll just do that kind of thoughts. And
Yeah.
as I've done it more and more, I've realized like this is worth investing in. Like I proved
Yeah.
the concept to myself basically, and then I got like all these good comments. It's like, oh, this is actually good. I need to treat it that way,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, that was the first one. Then 2022 comes around. I sent a variation on that email I'd sent the previous year. I only got 3 replies. Uh, 7 in the cohort, which again, this sounds really good, but this was like luck, like just lucky timing of people who trickled in at the right time. So this actually scared me off for a while. I
Mm.
think I wanted to be running these more regularly, and I barely got any response to email.
It's because you got only 3 replies to your hand raiser, even though you weren't
Yeah,
calling it at the time. Whereas previously you'd gotten 20, right?
yeah, and I didn't know about hand raisers yet, so it was a long email.
Yeah.
2 or 3 people were like heard me on the Enneagram podcast and had like $20. So there was really only one person who was qualified, and everybody else was just like grabbing from somewhere.
Well, and Monique
So
asked the question, which is obviously like we need to do the math here, right? So 1 email, 3 replies, 7 in the cohort. So do you remember? I mean, obviously they didn't come from this email. Do you remember where the other 4 came from, or the
um
other more than 4,
yeah, it
probably?
was it was it was all like people who'd been referred to me or heard me on a podcast.
Yeah. Well, so and let's also be clear at this point, Mike, you're a full-time one-on-one speaking coach at this
Yeah,
point, right? Right. So you still have inbound clients and where it's sometimes I remember we talked about this where like you got to the point where sometimes you would offer it almost like a menu of like it's
totally.
like, do
Yeah.
you want the one-on-one or do you want the group? And so like that was also part of where some of these people come from is just your typical lead flow, which is mostly referral based of people
Yeah.
saying you should learn from Mike,
Yes, totally.
right?
And to that point, without turning it into a whole conversation
Okay.
about um, how to talk to clients, like when I was able to see that they should do Speech Club as opposed to being a one-on-one client, it was a much easier
Yeah.
sell.
Well, you could tell them. You could
But there
prescribe
were
it.
times where it was
Yeah.
totally, and there were times where it was murky. And to John's point, I would put the medicine in front of them and say, "Well, what do you think you should
Yeah.
take?"
It's like you go to the doctor's
It's a tough
office and you're
thing to
like,
do.
"Doctor, I'm sick," and he's like, "Well, I don't know. I mean, do you think you should take Advil or like have open heart surgery or like?" You're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on a minute. Like, what do you?" I'm like, "No, don't ask me." Right?
Yeah, yeah. So that was okay. That was 2022. So that was the year. That was the year that I went to Crafting Commerce and like did a great presentation, then
An amazing workshop
didn't.
that went nowhere. Yeah.
Yes. Um, so then I started working with John, and that's when things got helpful. So I made a list. We've talked about a little of this, but like I think these were the 4 things that John. It's not like I had no idea how to do this, but all these things hearing from John made it simpler for me, especially the 10x promise. I think we've probably all experienced that. It's like, well, what's your program about? And it's like a 45-second answer.
Yeah,
But those I felt like were the four things that helped the
that's
most.
great.
So this is me doing the workshop, and I did a good workshop and didn't let people download the QR code. And then this is the one where it really hit, and that led to multiple speech clubs. I might have labeled this wrong. John, when did you? Oh, I know what it was. Okay,
Okay.
got it. Nothing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Winter 2024 was the one that
Hmm.
John was in, and these people came from one speech. I sent out one email to a targeted list.
Yeah. Not to your full list, right? Just to people from the conference, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I did one spotlight is the session where inviting people and brought in a former participant, and yeah, I filled it, and that was
Amazing.
about 32.
And then, but you mentioned this has actually led to multiple cohorts because I know you mentioned, I think I was actually in your next cohort. I'm not sure I was in that cohort. I'm just thinking, maybe I got the timing wrong, but I remember I finished the cohort like right before Craft and Commerce, which would have been like June.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I just should have called it spring. I think it's probably spring instead of winter, but yeah,
Oh, okay, sure, sure, sure.
yeah.
No, well, you did. Well, I think you had. Okay, so what's after this?
Well, after this is summer, which was not the one you were in because you were done already.
Oh, okay, good, got it, great. Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
so
Monique asked if you're willing to share the size of your audience, like your email list or anything else. What are you comfortable
oh
sharing?
yeah, it's like 2,500.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
not yeah.
Yeah, so you got an email list with 2,500 subscribers. You've got a podcast.
Mhm.
Do you know offhand what kind of downloads you get from that or audience size?
No, I mean, and honestly, like that's on hiatus right now, so
Okay.
that's not even a thing. Yeah. I may have John, I may have put this for the wrong. Anyway, it doesn't matter like what time what time of year it
No,
was,
no, I'm
but
not worried about that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but this is when the price jumps to 4,000,
Mm-hmm.
and then John Meese delivers his craft and commerce talk. Uh, I'll do another round like this. So summer 2024. So this would have been really it's like summer through winter of 2024, and that was $4,000 a person.
Right.
I did another spotlight, and then current group, which just started last week, it's now 5,000. I sent out two emails with just a PS at the bottom, like PS, I'm starting a new program. Which that didn't even lead to very much, but 10 cohort, and it's 5,000 a person now.
Awesome. Yeah.
And here's what's really interesting about the current cohort. There are two people who came from craft and commerce 2 years ago. So like one of
Mm-hmm.
the things nice about a speech, being on a stage, and I would say this is true for podcasts as well to a certain extent, is that there's a longer thing with them versus like ads or something else.
Yeah.
Like you stick in their brain.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Like you said, so you've got people who joined your current program that are like they heard you 2 years ago speak at Craft and
yeah,
Commerce. Yeah, that's
yeah.
excellent. Um, yeah. So you mentioned your plan is moving forward to go to more than one cohort a year, right? And actually
Mhm.
like make this a more central part. Can you tell us more about what's next for you?
Yeah, totally. I mean, some of this is just like what life has dictated.
Yeah.
The short version, we have small children,
You've
and
doubled the size of your junior members of your family. Yeah.
my wife is a nurse, so she does not have like a set like Monday through Friday or even like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like it's rotating. So
Hmm.
Wednesday's the only day that I consistently know that I will not be on dad duty. I do dad
Yeah.
duty once a week, which is not that much, but it's just I
But you
never
don't know
know
what
what day it's
day.
gonna
It depends on her
be.
schedule as a nurse. Yeah.
Really. So Wednesdays are speech club day, and that's just a commitment that makes my life much easier. And my goal for this year is that like the amount of income, like basically I forget what number you call this, John, but like the amount of income where we don't have to change our life too much, like it pays the bills, and we're not like
Mm.
worried about cutting out coupons. Like my goal is that that's all my speech club,
Yeah,
and
so
then once
usually I
on
call that
that,
your minimum, right? I have like MTO, like your minimum, your target, and outrageous, right? So the minimum is,
uh,
is like it funds your lifestyle. And like you said, you can keep doing what you're doing, you know.
yeah, that for me would be 200 this year.
Yeah, which you could do
Um,
from four cohorts.
Yep, which I could do from four cohorts. And I mean, frankly, I'm going to do like a 2.0 version of this because something that happens in my group a fair bit is people get to the end and they're like, well, I want to keep going. And I'm like, well, I got nothing for you. So,
Yeah, that is definitely an
um,
opportunity. Just to be clear, that we're talking through this right now. That right now, up until now, Mike hasn't had like like a recurring revenue program,
yeah,
which is a kind of like the next strategy of like what happens after you go to Speech Club. It's all each time's been starting from scratch, and you've still had great success, Mike, with what you've done, even though you've kind of started from scratch each time. So what else, guess what'll happen when you start building on top of yourself? I love
yeah.
that. So yeah, anything else you have in your presentation to share with
Yeah, I
us?
thought that it'd be helpful to talk about something like because
Because let me just also make sure people know what's coming next. So, Mike, I want you to finish whatever else you got to share with us, and then what I want to do is I want to open it up just for anybody here to ask you a question in terms of like if they have a question about your business, how you did something. Just get selfish here, please, so that Coach Club members, because each of you speaks for 3 or 4 people who aren't here live, right? Each of you is also speaking for them. So, in a moment, we're going to go to questions, and you'll raise your hand and get a chance to ask my questions. But, Mike, first, what else did you have to share with us?
yeah, I just wanted to run through a few things that I think are helpful to know because when you hear
Yeah,
other people's stories, sometimes you're like, wow, gosh, that doesn't work for me, and like I
yeah,
just think it's good to know like a little bit of context about what I think some things that work in my favor and some things that work against me. So I just made a quick list for you. A few things
cool.
that work in my favor, like credibility is obvious. Uh, I think most of my audience is through podcasts or being on stages. And that I think is clutch because at least if I do my job well, people hear me on a podcast or hear me from stage and they feel like they know me a little bit, like the trust factor is higher.
Yeah, yeah,
There's an advantage there too because I'm speaking about what I do. You know what I mean? Like people are
yeah.
seeing me
you're
do the thing that I do.
you're
So,
you're showing off the Cutco knife while like you're
totally,
selling Cutco knife by slicing things, right? You're speaking and saying he's gonna be a good speaker. It also means the bar is high though, that you can't just you
oh
can't
yeah,
have an
for
off
sure,
day on stage. So
for sure.
yeah.
But I mean, I think a takeaway for people on that is if when you're on a podcast or if you are on a stage, try to have some bit of content that shows you being the expert on the thing that you do.
Mm.
So even if it's just a story, I don't know, you're like a marketer or something, and you want to deconstruct why a marketing thing worked well, or you want to talk about someone that you worked with. If you can do that in a way where it's less like, I helped Drew go from X to Y, and it's more like Drew came to me with a problem,
Mm.
and I looked at all this stuff, and I said, okay, well, Drew, here are some of your strengths, and based on that, we should try marketing this way, and then we get to see the success from that. Like that's a nice move, being able to allowing the audience to see you be good at what you do. So, and then one other thing I would say, so that end of commentary about where my audience comes from. One other thing I would say is I have what I call third tier luck. So here's what I mean. When you go to conferences in particular, I think nobody would articulate it this way, but I think what a lot of us do is it's like, oh, Seth Godin's going to be cool. Like if you love Seth Godin and you want to say you loved one of his books, awesome. There's about a 0% chance that's going to lead to any business, right? Like Seth Godin's not
Mm.
hiring random person he's not heard of before. So to me, like Seth Godin is top tier.
First tier, you have top tier. Yeah.
Yep. And then second tier would be someone who's like a notch above you, right? And third tier is someone that's at your level. So
Mm.
here's what I mean by third tier luck. Some of the people that I've worked with, I met when we were at the same level. I met James Clear when he had a flip phone. He was not writing about habits yet. I kept in touch with him. Like, I'm good at what I do. I kept in touch with him. When he wrote Atomic Habits, it was no brain power at all to work with me. So I just bring that up. I don't know that you have the next James Clear in your phone right now or anything, but I just bring that up because I think a lot of times we're looking for a James Clear type client to like fill out the contact form on our website. And what might be more likely, or what I'd say is probably more likely, is that someone that you know right now will rise. And if you can keep in touch with those people, I'm making it sound more strategic than it was, but if you can keep in touch with those people,
Yeah.
that's your gold mine. I met Nathan Barry before he started ConvertKit. And so when they were like starting this conference that John and I have both spoken at, it was natural for them to ask if I wanted to be their speaking
Right.
coach. So this is a longer term play for sure, but like it's easy to be like, oh, I didn't work with James Clear.
Yeah.
But someone you
Must be
work with,
nice. Must be nice.
so
That's what I hear. Must be nice
yeah.
to be
But
you. Yeah.
someone that you're working with right now might be that first tier person.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Nate said his light bulb is stay in touch with people in Sold Out Coach Club. That's right. Who else here in Sold Out Coach Club is going to be, the next James Clear or Seth Godin or Mike Pacquiao?
Yeah. A few things I should do differently. I mean, the first one, I should really be emailing my list more in general, but talking about my wins over email, for some reason that just like doesn't
Mm.
compute in my brain. I've had an email about our very own John Meese that's been half finished for a little while. When you're working with people, talk about those wins in email.
Hmm.
And for me, I need to talk about my non-famous clients. Uh, if you go to my website, it'll be like James and Don Miller and Scott Hamilton, and that's cool and it enables me to charge a lot. That's not like who most of my clients are. Most of my clients are people who are have a really important speech, but like are second tier
Yeah.
right now, you know? So I need to do that. And then one thing I learned this I mentioned at the beginning when we were doing wins. I work with this woman, Jenny Wood. She's gonna blow up. Her book comes out in March. Her book, one of the things in there is that there are all these things we've been taught are bad, but they actually can be used for good. Like all these traits that are, like if you were called shameless, you would think that's bad, right? Like, oh, John,
Mm.
he's shameless. But like the same trait can be used for good as long as you're using it for good. So for me, my takeaway and having read the book before it came out, I walked away. I'm like, I have to be more shameless. Like nobody else. There are people who will speak
Yeah.
up for me, but I've had people I've been on a call with where I look back at it now, and I'm just like, yeah. I mean, what else do you want to know? It's like what I should be doing is demonstrating my expertise and how good I am. Yeah,
Right. Have no shame about the good work that you are doing in the world.
yeah, yeah.
Love that.
Hmm.
That's great. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Was there anything else?
One other thing I wanted to say, there's something I kind of left out of the last year, which is I was on Amy Porterfield's podcast. She's someone I helped back in the day. Um, she was maybe not third tier, but she was second tier. Like she was
Yeah.
when I met Amy, she was doing Facebook ads, which I'm guessing nobody on this call even knows or remembers that that's who she
Well, I
was
do, but
once
yeah.
upon. I
Yes.
see John does,
Yeah.
yeah. So I went on her podcast and I put together a really, really good offer at the end, which you can download. Now, you will get on my list if you do this, but this blew things up for me in a really good way. And that wasn't even me getting on a stage. That was me recording from this very seat. And I was able to basically fill one and a half, um, one and a half speech clubs with people from
Yeah.
that
Do
guest
you
appearance.
know, offhand, do you know how many leads you've gotten so far? How many subscribers just from that one podcast?
Yeah, I don't remember like how many people I talked to, but it was over 500 email subscribers from the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. It's incredible.
And it's like it's maybe six figures
A
being on the
six-figure
podcast. So
podcast too.
I
Yeah.
know that like
Yeah, I know Dustin
yeah,
Riekman, our good friend Dustin, I don't know, interviewed you about that a little bit because he was excited about that because that's all what he's always saying. He's always saying, go get booked on a podcast in front of your target client, share your offer, and see what happens.
yeah. And I spoke a little less shamelessly and I had a really good freebie. Again, I had to be ready for it. So I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody else on here is going to be on Amy's podcast or anything, but like the right opportunity can just lead to all this stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, but just yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. Well, and also you had all these other opportunities to kind of work out the kinks so that by the time you got that opportunity on Amy's podcast, you were ready.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've also had opportunities where I've been on someone's a big show and I wasn't ready and I didn't really capitalize on it. Right. And so it's like that you did that, handled that really well. So well done.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to now let's shift this back to the audience. So I'd love to know, raise your hand if you would like to ask Mike a question about something about his journey in terms of, especially as it relates to yours, in terms of like something you want to learn, something you want to go deeper on. My hope is that this is useful to you, right? So we're doing these like under the hood, kind of behind the scenes deep dives into different people's businesses in terms of how they did it. because there's a lot of different personality styles, backgrounds, niches in terms of how people build these programs. And I want this to be useful to you. So please raise your hand if you have a question. And yeah, Nate, why don't you go ahead and go first?
Yeah, my question is, how did you get your first initial speaking gigs? And also, if I want to get on stage at Craft Plus Commerce, who do I talk to? I want to email them ASAP.
Oh, good luck getting on stage at Craft and Commerce. That was really
Um,
hard.
my first initial speaking gig, it was always someone who like knew me or saw me somewhere. Um, outside of that, okay, so the question behind the question, I assume, is like, how do you do that, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
tips.
So a few things that are really helpful. If you have footage from something, nobody's going to watch your 45-minute keynote, but if you have footage for something that's really helpful, you can pay people like not that much money to chop that footage up into a more manageable 2, 3, 4 minutes with a little music behind it. They're looking for someone who's competent and not going to get the audience angry and bored. So if you can demonstrate to them that you're that, that's great. When you're pitching, it's helpful if you're saying things about how it benefits the audience. So not like I'm Nate, I'm great, but I think I'd be a really good fit for your audience. I'm seeing this in your audience, and here's where I think I could come in and help. Not unlike sales in general, really. And then demonstrate that you're a competent speaker. Like that's a pretty good pitch.
Got it. Cool.
Oh yeah, good call, Monique. Yeah, there are apps to chop up videos now. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I went to a conference once where we took turns like going up on stage and just like talking for like 5 minutes just to get the video of us all being on stage and just like to have that to get started as a speaker. And that's how I got my first paid speaking gig back in 2015 at the Orlando Libertarian conference to explain Bitcoin. So yeah, back when nobody cared. Uh, so that
So,
was
out of curiosity,
last
can I
times.
ask how you got onto Craft Plus Commerce? I didn't know how hard it was to get on.
Um,
Did you
Craft and
work for
Commerce
it, or
is,
did they?
yeah. Mike, do you want to explain?
Um, for me, it was like I'd been the coach there for several years, and it was the right year to invite.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really
Yeah.
unique one because they've hired him as a speaking coach. So if you ever get to be a speaker at Craft and Commerce, they pair you up with Mike to be like, hey, go make sure the speaker's not going to be atrocious on stage. Like so they pay Mike to for that, which is a pretty unique opportunity. In my case, I showed up and went every year for like 5 years until they were like, yeah, we'll let you speak. So that one is just notoriously difficult because they're really it is a black box um, to at Craft and Commerce. And many conferences are like that. Where like basically it all comes down to like you got to know somebody and get on their radar at the right time with the right pitch. Um, but yeah, but even actually like you can actually listen to Nathan Barry's podcast. And they actually just talked about this about they actually Haley. This is unique, Mike. I should have sent this to you. Nathan Barry and Haley just had an interview on their podcast on the Nathan Barry Show podcast about craft and commerce, and they actually broke down. Hey, Haley said like John Mee sent me this pitch about this talk that he should give, and I told him that's a great talk for another conference. You should do that somewhere else. Instead, you should do this. And she actually like tells the whole story of how I got the speaking gig. So you can just listen to Nathan Barry Show and find that out from her perspective as a conference
Cool.
organizer.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Nate. Jake, what about you? What questions do you have?
Yeah, I want to hear more. I want to hear more about how you like deliver your group program. Like, what are some of the like maybe I don't want to say top tips, but like, what are some of the things that you do that really, makes your group program work?
I had quite a
And,
bit
I,
of
and I'm think
knowledge about
and
this
I'm
stuff.
thinking kind of like facilitation, how you run it, how you interact with people, stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So the first time I did it, I did all the teaching on the call. And I think that's good for certain group coaches. My takeaway from that, okay, so the way that it works for me, it's I think it was 8 weeks long when it started, and now it's 10. Uh, it was building towards a final presentation. I'm like, seriously, I treated it like I was teaching college. Like you built towards a final presentation. I remember the first time I did it, I'm like, I have no idea if anybody's been doing work. Are these gonna be good? what's about to happen.
This final
So from
presentation will be worth 50% of your grade at the end.
well, but I had no idea who was a good student. Like I just knew people who talked in class. I could see people making connections. So that just didn't sit well with me. And what I flipped it to that I do now, and this isn't going to be right for everybody's group coach, but what I flipped it to now is I record the lesson, uh, and I give you homework. I don't call it homework, but that's what it is. I give you homework, so you show up to class and you're getting feedback on that. Because the whole thing with speaking is that your first draft is not. Most people show up on stage with a first draft speech. They've never run through it in front of anybody, and then they're looking at the audience, and the parts are too long and they're confusing, and that's why you're looking at an audience that's like not tracking with you, and you start freaking out. Like that's what public speaking is. So if I can just get people to the point where they've gotten some feedback and they know that this part's too long or that's not really hitting, they will be in a better space when they take the stage. So anyway, for me, that's why it's crucial for people to be getting feedback in class about whatever the homework was for that week. And the idea is that if you do this week and this week and this week, smush it all together, you've got a final presentation.
That's awesome. It almost, I don't want to reduce it to this, but it almost sounds like those hangover cures. They're like, drink this with 18 glasses of water and you'll feel better. It's like, oh, was it the water and me practicing, or was it actually this thing?
The thing that I've always wondered, and John, I don't know if you know about this or not, but my 8 weeks, 10 weeks, like this is totally arbitrary. John, do you have any idea if it sells better if it's 6 months every 2 weeks or like what sells better? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that totally depends on your promise. So, so like for your case, it's working really well. My general advice to everybody is start with 60 days. It's long enough for most things that it's like enough to like sell your program, and also you can always extend it if you're going 60 days in and you realize like we're not quite there. 60 days seems to work really well for like cohort one, but then usually it changes. So I have some clients who've taken that and realized like, oh, this is actually like a 6 week program. Like Sean Blanc, for example, his program is now like, well, he takes off work every seventh week. Like that's one of his things is like he's always on sabbatical, and so not always, but every seventh week he's on sabbatical, and so his program is just 6 weeks long for that reason. But also that's kind of part of the sell because it's a productivity program. Um, and then so sometimes I find it makes sense to do it. 90 days is probably what most people do, is like 90 days. That seems to be the most common one. I heard a great interview though with a guy, I'm blanking on his name. He's not a member of Soul Out Coach Club. He's a big Rick Mulready. Actually, he's a friend of Amy Porterfield. He's a Facebook ad guy. Rick Mulready talked about this, how that he sells a program. At the time, it was about $10,000 program. And it was a 90-day program focused on helping you build a six-figure profitable Facebook ad funnel, right? But what he found was that when he changed it from it being a 90-day program to a 6-month program, his conversion rate doubled. He didn't actually change anything about what he taught. Like nothing changed except for it made it more believable. Because if you right now do not have a Facebook ad funnel, and it's like you can have a six-figure profitable Facebook ad funnel, can you imagine yourself having that 90 days from now? And for what he found is that for a lot of people, they were like, they just couldn't imagine the transformation. It's just too big. But by saying over 6 months, it made it a lot easier for people to say, yeah, sure, I can see that. Right. And so he actually doubled his conversion rate just by making it a longer program. And he literally didn't change anything else about the content. So I think it really does depend on like just customer feedback about what are you trying to teach them to do? How long does it take them to actually do it? But in your case, Mike, I feel like 10 weeks is pretty strong because a speech is the skills, but also the outcome of like an unforgettable signature talk is a really, really important anchor piece of your business. But also, it's not enough. It's not the whole shebang, right? You also have to have like products and clients and other things. And so any longer than 10 weeks, then I feel like that might start to really hurt you of like going like, spend a year developing an unforgettable signature talk. Yeah. And it's like, then I can't use it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that useful? Mike, does that answer your / Jake's question?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I'd love to know, I mean, for those of you who are still, I'd love to know what questions y'all have if you have any questions for Mike. Otherwise, we'll transition into takeaways. I really want to highlight those. But just want to do one final call to action or call for questions, so to speak. What other questions do you have for Mike? Jake, I know you got another one. You always do.
I always have questions. So
Yeah.
everybody always says, imagine everybody in the audience is naked or wearing chicken suits or whatever. I'm just curious, what do you recommend?
That drives me insane. But I don't know what the point of that is. Listen, the greatest gift you can give your audience is if you are completely present with them. Present meaning you're not sitting there like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say? The greatest gift you gift you can give your audience is to be completely present with them. But you can only do that if you know your stuff. I mean, you understand the content that you're presenting. If you know how to calm yourself down, and this is key, you know that the audience is rooting for you. Unless you're like going into politics or something, nobody in the audience, like at worst, the audience is neutral. There's nobody there just sitting there like, oh, Jake's up. I hope he screws up. I hope I'm bored. I want this 20 minutes to feel like 50. Like, nobody
Yeah.
is saying that. So if you haven't done the work to make the speech good by the time you take the stage, like it's not the stage's fault that you got nervous. But if you've put together something that's good and you're taking the stage, you need to think of the audience like they are rooting for you because they are.
I just want to just add on to that really quick. I love that. And as you were talking, I realized this. One of the pieces of advice I gave one of my clients who was nervous about giving a in-person event for the first time, I said, look, you're prepared. You kind of like, even if you make mistakes, they're not going to care. They're going to be rooting for you. I didn't
Yeah.
say it quite this way. I'm kind of repeating what you just told me, but I basically said, because you care, you're going to be fine and it's going to be great. So that's great to
Yeah.
hear.
I mean, listen, even Martin Luther King, like if you went back and watched I Have a Dream, there are parts where the people behind him are like looking around. Like he flubs a couple lines. You're going to as well.
Yeah. If I'll just add too, just because like so when I spoke at Craft and Commerce, I was the opening keynote speaker and had I mean people I expected people to laugh. I had some jokes planned. I expected people to clap because that's the polite thing to do. People clapped, people laughed, people cried. The cried one I did not expect. Mike and I were both like, okay, that hit a little stronger than I expected. Um, but I had people, including the whole production team and many people in the audience coming afterwards, are like, wow, amazing. You obviously do this all the time. It was the first time I've been on stage since 2019. So in 5 years. Um, and so a lot of that was because Mike had made me do all the work to actually like prep and be like really prepared. But a lot of that was actually something that stuck with me that I learned years ago when I worked with Michael Hyatt on his leadership team because he spoke all the time. And I just want to share this as a pro tip. Like if any speaking you're gonna do, whether it's on a podcast or on a physical stage, whatever, is I this really stuck with me is he said, whenever I start to feel that like anxiety rising in my body of like I'm getting on stage, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna freak out what he would say is he would stop and he'd recognize this adrenaline coursing through my body. I'm so grateful for it because it shows my body is preparing to show up at and to be have all of my senses heightened. Right. This is sort of like how we show up for battle, so to speak. Right. In our world today, we don't have very many like battle moments where we're like, kill a tiger with a spear. But like this is one of those moments where like that's what adrenaline's for. Is just like to say like show up with all of your senses heightened and he would just express gratitude for it and it would kind of take a lot of the pressure out. And then someone else had told me the only difference between excitement and fear is the exhale physiologically. Like if you feel fear in your body, if you're studying someone's body, like monitoring it, and they're either excited or afraid, the only difference is when someone's excited, they let the air out and they exhale. When someone's afraid, they still kind of hold their
Wow.
breath. Yeah. And so before I went on stage, I said, thank you for all the adrenaline going to my head. And then I exhaled and then I showed up as my best self. So I hope that's useful. Thank you, Jake. Monique, let's take your question as the last question and then we'll get into takeaways.
Yeah, it's really quick. Nate had mentioned earlier in the chat, I think you guys might have missed it, but there was a QR code that he mentioned, and we're wondering if we can get our hands on it.
Yeah, I think Mike.
Yeah, Mike, yeah, it's some free QR code that made people fall in love with you, and we wanted to.
You told everybody to get the QR code and you waited or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
the QR code that they fell in love with. It was the presentation that led to that point. But the QR code was an easy way for them to like stay in touch with me instead of
Yeah,
me
I
making
think
it
just
more
it
difficult.
the way you explained it, I think it sounded like something valuable that we're all thirsty for. But
Oh, yeah. The freebie. Yeah, totally.
It was a freebie because you talked about how it's worth thousands of dollars, and I think everybody was like, "Well, give it
Yes,
to me now."
that one.
Yeah.
Actually, so it's I have a better designed version of it now that if you go to the here, let me just put it in the chat.
okay.
Yeah, we'll also make sure to drop the link with the recording, but you go ahead and oh, the Amy one, is that the same?
Yeah, the Amy one has this
Oh, great.
better designed version of that same freebie, as well as
Okay,
some
great.
other freebies. So you can
Yeah.
like just check it out there.
Awesome. And I
Yeah.
think I'd love to also we'll get a copy of the video for when you spoke at Craft and Commerce so people can see the moment where you like ask for texts and like just kind of like visualize that whole process of how that led to that program. So
My pleasure.
thank you, Mike.
Cool. Thank you. Can I just say thank you? It's very refreshing to see somebody who's doing so well, just be so personable and just completely cool and authentic and just, pulling back the curtain on the mess ups and all that stuff. It's refreshing.
My
Thanks.
pleasure. When I stop doing that, something's gone wrong.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monique, that's actually a great segue. Thank you for giving us that. So, let's go ahead and get into. I would love for anybody who's willing to share just to raise your hand, and share with us what's your most useful takeaway from today's spotlight session. This is for all of us so we can learn. Not everybody at once.
I can go.
Monique's gonna. Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, Tim, go for it.
Yeah. So I think I wrote this in the chat earlier. I think for me, it's really refreshing to see that not everything has to be planned out. I think it's easy to be caught up in seeing how other people's businesses look on the surface, right? And like everything's set up and it seems to work, and to just hear, well, no, it's a mess. You stumble from mistake to mistake, and that's how I feel, and it's very relatable to hear from Mike that I mean, it seems like you seem to be, not everything's perfectly panned out. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Tim. Monique, what about you? You have something else to share as a takeaway?
Yeah, just getting yourself in spaces and places where your ideal clients are. You got to share your work, so somehow you've got to do that. And that takes time because it takes time growing your clientele. It also takes time
Mhm.
becoming the person that's worthy of being in front of those people. So even though you've got all these great ideas in your head, I mean, just the time I've spent in this program reiterating things and just, um, you know, polishing things and getting it better, making myself worthy of the people that are paying me thousands to be in front of them. Yeah. So thanks.
Thank you, Monique. Stephanie, what about you? What's your most useful takeaway?
Hey, I wrote this in the chat a little bit, but Mike, I really appreciated what you shared about how your family dynamic plays into the choices you make with time you
Mm,
spend with the cohort. I wear a number of different hats, and I'm a mom, and my husband's a pastor and a wrestling coach, and I do anyway. It's just as I move from trading my time for money to moving towards like cohort group stuff, there's like this messy in between that I feel like I'm dealing with. And I know where I want to be and I know where I am, and just figuring out how to get there. I just have the reality of, there's only so much time in the day and I need to sleep and I need to be a mom.
yeah,
So I don't want to use that as an excuse for not making progress, but at the same time, like I need to find a way to work with it. So I just thank you for sharing how that is just some a reality you have to work with. It just is very relatable and makes me feel better. So
it's
thank you.
it's real. That's great. Thank you, Stephanie. Nate, what about you? What's your most useful takeaway?
Yeah, I liked what you said about making yourself the expert just in how you word things. The same story
Mm,
could just appear as like, okay, interesting fact versus showing that I know what I'm talking about. I'm trustworthy. I am an expert in this field. So I thought that was cool.
that's great. Thank you. Yeah, show your work. Brian, what about you? What's most useful takeaway?
For me, it was the third tier luck. I was just reflecting on I'm the type of guy who like lingers, talks to people, randomly have met so many people. My network's full of all these smart, cool, smart people doing all of these things. And to make sure that I keep kind of working that and touching base randomly, and then to not forget to actually tell them what I'm working on sometimes so that, I can get some of that luck that I just know is out there. So that was really nice for me, especially today. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Brian, for sharing. Jake, what about you? What's your most useful takeaway?
Very similar to Brian's. I wrote down relationships and that it's like a long-term uh, game. Makes it sound trite, but that's how I like to approach stuff. So it often doesn't pay off for a while, and it's nice to kind of hear that it's still a useful thing to do, obviously, and that it works. So that's great. Thank you.
Love it. Drew, what about you?
Yeah, mine was much like Stephanie's. I really appreciate this conversation because as a driven person, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and so it's like you want everything to work perfectly as you planned out, and to hear you talk about some of the challenges and the mistakes you make, it gives myself permission to like don't try so hard, like keep going, but don't like think that you're failing or not doing it right. Just keep moving forward, and that's what's most important. So it's great to see you ahead of us, having success and teaching us, guys who are behind you pushing forward. So thanks so much.
Love that. Monique, you had something else to add?
Yeah, the other thing, you know, as we're in this program, we see your program and we see all the tech that you have, and we're like, yeah, this is cool. Okay, I need this, I need this. And it's nice to know that Mike was balling on a budget, like he was like, okay, that costs 18 and he just made it work. And obviously, as the money comes in, you can upgrade, but it's so hard to fight the desire to want all the bells and whistles
Yeah.
in your first cohort. It's super, super hard. So that
Yeah.
was awesome.
I would I would encourage you to have people pay by Stripe though. That was like the payment thing, like let's make it easy for them to pay.
Yes, exactly. Mike, I'd actually love for you to share if you want to put you on the spot now, but what's your most useful takeaway from going back through and your own story, kind of like retracing these steps and then sharing that with us and with this community? What's your most useful takeaway from this experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think okay, so overall, I I love helping people one on one. Um, too much of that leads to me like losing sleep and being a worse parent and things like that, right? So like this is really, I'm not going to eliminate one on one, but like group should really be the trajectory. So what do I actually need to make that happen? It's mostly like being organized enough and having it top of mind enough that I can offer it to people, have at least a rough starting date and be confident in selling it. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it though, it's like, what do I need? Like someone's interested. Okay, someone filled out a form on my website yesterday, and I'm like, I've got the perfect thing for you. So whenever I talk to her, I just need to be able to say like, this is the end of March next time we're doing it, or like something like that, which really isn't that much of a task. And I think where I've missed in the past is I've just been very loosey goosey about it and like, cool, I'll let you know. And
Hmm.
those are the things you do when you're busy or you're selling from your heels. Is is that stuff, and it's not on the fundamental level. All I'm doing is telling them this program's really good, telling them when it starts, and asking for money. Like that's what's happening. That's the
Yeah.
transaction.
Well,
And the more I can do that and be comfortable with that, like probably the better my life will be.
that's great. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you being willing to share your story with us and just spend so much time with us and doing the prep too. Uh, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you accomplish with this new reinvigorated focus on group coaching. And I think my biggest takeaway, well, you mentioned how, like, there's so many things, of course, I love from your story, Mike, but my biggest takeaway is actually about the whole idea of Wednesdays for you. Like, for you to look at your calendar and go, like, you're an incredibly talented speaker coach, but you're also an active dad with a new kid. So you've got like a whole new life going on. And all the needs there. And then it's like, how do you support your family and also fund your lifestyle? And there's only one day a week you can count on, which is Wednesday. So the idea that we've got a business model here where you can say, okay, if I can build my entire business, the core of my business around Wednesdays, one day a week, as like the fixed day, that can fund your lifestyle, support your family, and that's pretty special. So I love that. For me, that's Thursdays. Thursdays are my like coaching day all day. So I love that this is supporting your lifestyle and your ability to show up for your family and be an active dad.
And that like just started, but mentally it's actually really super helpful because it's like, okay, the rest of the week is whatever other stuff to do. Like I'm basically just trying to sell. My goal for this year, at least, is that most of the rest of the week is just trying to like do things so that Wednesday goes well.
Yeah, I love that. That's super powerful. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. All right. I want to try something new real quick. If you wouldn't mind, everybody who's here live, if you would, unmute yourself. And I want us to end. I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown. And then I want us to all say, keep up the good work to encourage each other just to end on a high note. So we're going to try this. It's going to be chaotic, and that's okay. we want it to be. So make sure you're all unmuted, and then I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, and then we're going to all say it together. So 3, 2, 1. Keep up the good
Keep up the
work.
good
Good
work.
work.
Keep up the good work.
Love it. All right, you heard us.